All right, welcome back to Pints and Politics.
I like it.
Episode 33. Look at us getting fancy.
We are getting professional here.
We call that foo-foo if you're born and raised in Rock Hill.
So yeah, man, as promised, we're here at Holy City Brewing down here in the low country of South Carolina.
Yes.
I think technically North Charleston, but it's up the neck a little bit on the peninsula. But I tell you what, man, this place is awesome. Down. This place is awesome.
It is.
I mean, and this was one of the originals back in the day. I mean, it didn't just pop up 5 years ago. This thing's been around for a while. On this episode, we're going to have hopefully Chris, the owner, come and talk to us about just small business ownership, how's the place going, those types of things, and then also wanted to maybe touch on the liquor liability issue with him.
I'm sure he's dealt with it.
I mean, he was telling you just a few minutes ago that what is it?
That they used to only be able to serve, you can only serve 3 pints in South Carolina unless you offer some type of food.
Okay.
Because I was questioning, because they had liquor and everything up above the bar, and typically, like our breweries where we are,
right,
they don't have liquor.
No.
And I was like, how do you do that? And he's like, it's 2 different licenses, and he was going through it with me.
Okay. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get him on. We're also going to have some good conversations with Senator Sean Bennett.
Yes.
Out of Somerville, South Carolina, my hometown.
Down in his neck of the woods, so we got to have him on.
Yep, and also our colleague in the House, Representative Gary Brewer, is going to join us. Yeah. I tell you, man, this is going to be an action-packed show, man.
Well, I wanted to name the episode Beauty and the Beast, because I was just thinking me and Brewer be the beast, and since you got the good camera, we'll just name you Beauty, but... I forgot about Senator Bennett.
Yeah,
and Chris jumping on, too.
But while we're here at Holy City Brewing, we want to thank our sponsor.
Yes, Comer Distributing. Thank you, as always, for allowing us to do this.
Yeah.
And today we've got 2 good Comer beers because instead of buying like a 4-pack.
What flavor are you drinking?
I got Holy City Lite. I just told him I wanted the closest thing to water that he had.
closest thing to Bud Light. And for the 2 listeners out there, I'm having the Ocktoberfest. It's a Marzen. And, man, it's good beer.
Yeah.
Nice, toasty.
Mine's good. Mine's light like I wanted it. So.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Well, we're going to shorten the football segment.
Yes.
And God graced us with Clemson having a bye, right?
This week.
So we're only talking about the South Carolina Gamecocks. And what a game last week.
I mean, technically we got 2 byes because all of our starters were out at like halftime last week anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was not optimistic about the Kentucky game. We were 8.5-point dogs on the road. And boy, did that defense show up. I mean, son.
The defense showed up, but man, Nick Harbor, another ofer.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to throw the ball. The offense looks horrible. The line has no time.
Or just, I saw a good tweet after that game. Maybe we can work in, if he can't run routes, if he can't catch the ball, can we work in a jet sweep?
Yeah.
Give the fastest man on the field the ball, please.
Has he dropped anything? I haven't even seen him get targeted.
No.
I mean, I don't know if he can catch because they won't throw him the dang ball.
I know. But, you're focusing on the negative, okay? I like to focus on the positive.
Well, speaking of positive, I mean, Clemson, Gabe Klubnik.
Yeah.
And Clemson breaking all kinds of records.
I didn't catch any of that game whatsoever.
Oh, it was just a beatdown. I think they scored 42 points in 1 quarter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, let's get back to talking about my Gamecocks. I mean, there's not, out of the 2 listeners, I think there's none that are Tiger fans. I think our listenership is almost 100% Gamecock fans.
No, because I actually spoke with the guys at Clemson. They love the podcast too. But
just kidding.
But game day's coming down to Columbia tomorrow.
Yeah. This week
that's going to be fun.
We're heading. My wife and I are heading to that game. Actually, with Brandon Cox and his wife Hannah, we're all going to go and hang out. Hopefully, enjoy a dry spell for a few hours, and maybe we can put it together again. I don't know. I'm not counting it out, but
LSU ain't Kentucky.
That's correct.
But they do have a young quarterback.
But man, he can sling it though, man. He can sling it. But you know what? You can't throw it from your back. So if we can get, Kennard and Stewart and the dogs up front on the defensive line to put pressure on them.
Man, that freshman y'all got on the corner is a beast.
No kidding, man. Whew. So we'll see.
Hey, if he happens to listen, just remember, Clemson We'll open the transfer portal for some play.
oh, now. So you went Harbor and Stewart.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So I thought Dabo was all about his own players. And,
he is.
Okay.
But I mean,
except for
a good talent's a good talent, you know.
No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, get Stewart some NIL deals.
Yeah. Hey, New Spring wants you to speak for them.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I'm hoping, maybe some rainy weather may help the Gamecocks, where it forces LSU to try to ground and pound.
I think LSU's too fast.
Man.
You better pray that it's not raining.
I know. But, we'll see. That's why they play the game. So good luck to the Gamecocks this weekend, and we're either going to be licking our wounds next week, or maybe we'll do some champagne.
I think win or lose, as long as you don't get blown out, then you can still hold your head high. Because LSU is one of the more prestigious teams
that may work for Clemson Tiger fans. That is not acceptable for us Gamecock fans.
Well, I mean,
you're better than 8-3. You know what I mean?
Are we sure? How many years was that?
Yeah. So that'll we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah. So we're gonna take a little brief pause here and then get the guests on.
Bring them on.
Yeah. Let's get to talking.
All right. So we are having our first guest here.
Yeah, Holy City Brewing right here in Charleston, South Carolina. Want to welcome Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome to Pints of Politics, man.
Welcome to Holy City.
Hey, beautiful place.
And thanks for the beer. Which one do you have? Yours looks a little darker than mine.
We just put it on today, so I had to have one. It's a Imperial Porter, so it's kind of amped up version of our flagship Pluff Mudd Porter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, this Ocktoberfest is really good too.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, so
I'm doing the light one.
That's all right. There's still a lot of light.
Now, tell us about the background. How did this come about? How did Holy City Brewing, manifest itself out of between your two ears into what we're sitting in now?
So, like I said earlier, I came to Charleston in 2001, went to college at Charleston. And then when I graduated, I moved to Denver thinking I was going to have a BS in geology. So I was trying to get a job in geology.
Oh, wow.
And I had some connections that I thought were going to pan out, and they didn't pan out.
My friend said they went out to Denver for geology too, but
it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work. I ended up snowboarding and waiting tables. While I was out there, I found out that you could go to, there's a lot of breweries out there, and I found out you could go to school for brewing.
Okay.
So I got into the American Brewers Guild. Ended up moving back to Atlanta, lived with my brother, doing the school. Got a job with Gordon Biersch. I don't know if you went to a Gordon Biersch, but there used to be when I was working there was 32 in the country. There's still one in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, wow.
But the one that I worked at was next to the Fox in Atlanta in Midtown that is since closed. But the brewer there really taught me how to manipulate equipment and work in a brewery. And then the school teaches you the science aspect. So did that, moved back to Charleston in 2007. Met my business partner now, Joel Carl, through a mutual friend. Joel and another guy, Sean, own the pedicabs and rickshaws downtown.
Yeah.
So kind of like bike taxi, but pedicab rickshaw.
Yep.
That's what Keith Elliott used to do whenever he was down here.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that work here that do it still. It's I couldn't ride a bike like that. But so we started home brewing in the pedicab shop. So there's those kegs up there on the wall or on the beam.
Yeah.
That's the original brew house. It's got bike necks and scrap metal that we built to brew.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's a good, homage to where it all started,
Yeah, exactly.
Look how far we've come.
Yeah. And man, what year was that?
That was 2007. So
okay.
You had to be right at the beginning of the breweries in South Carolina.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. He was telling me that's how he got to know Senator Sean Bennett. I mean, he wasn't senator at the time, right? He was a House rep maybe or something?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, when I first met him, he was. Yeah.
Okay. So take us in. You're going to wanted to start a brewery.
Yeah. And
then do you realize that you need you got to get this figured out because you can't serve more than what was the old law you were telling me?
You could come into the brewery and drink 4 4-ounce samples.
So 1 pint.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would fill your pint glass up a little, a couple inches of beer. You drink that 4 times, then you had to leave.
Yeah.
So we would do $5, and you got to keep your pint glass. a logo pint glass, and we would
So
just do that.
you still opened. That didn't deter you from opening.
The model back then was all distribution. I mean, there was the tap room really wasn't an idea. It was like, if people come in, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
We were just going to distribute. And we were the fourth in the city, so us and Westbrook opened within like the same year, but there was only 2 before that. So it didn't matter. I mean, hopefully our beer was good, but it almost style-wise, it didn't matter what you sent out. You could send anything out, and it would sell because there was no craft availability locally.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, back then, man.
My brother-in-law worked at Westbrook and then Unknown Brewery. I think it was out of Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, got plenty of them cans.
Now, and so you're up and going. Things are looking good. At what point do you say, "Hey, this is idiotic. This is sort of counterproductive. We should be able to serve customers beer"?
There was really no guild back then. I mean, it was super small. So John Bucknight, that owns RJ Rockers up in Spartanburg, he's pretty well connected in the political community in Charleston or in South Carolina. But he was the first president, so he kind of pulled a board together. Before that, it was Jamie Tenney from Coast. She did Pop the Cap. So when Coast opened in 2006, you couldn't have a beer or brew a beer over, I think it was like 6% or something. Like there was a limit percentage wise. Okay. So. There was no craft beer in the state. I mean, you could get Killian's and there was nothing. So after that, I can't remember what year it was, but then they changed it to 3 pints per person. That was the next iteration of the law.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but you had to somehow keep track of who had 3 pints versus 2 pints, and it was
no one's buying a beer for someone else.
No, never.
Right.
Yeah,
man. So how did y'all get the word out to your legislators? I mean, I guess you started talking with Sean, and I mean, were they receiving it? We're like, yeah, let me help you, right?
There wasn't a ton of them. Sean was one of the few that was pro craft beer, pro
business, small business. Yeah, right.
That was willing to listen and willing to go to bat for us. We also, we had Wesley Donahue. I don't know if you know Wesley Donahue, that has Push Digital. So Wesley, So Wesley Donahue and Brooke Bristow, without the 2 of them and Sean, none of us would be here right now. So, I mean, the 3 of them really pushed everything through.
Okay.
So I've got to give them a lot of credit. But, the guild formed. We started trying to get what we could passed. Adding to the brewery law creating a brewery law where we could actually drink full pints was kind of like the first step. That was to get it to a glass. And then it progressed from there. Then if you had a DHEC permit, and you could do food, then you could sell as much beer as you want.
Okay. How sad is it that you've got to be like, Mr. Government, can I serve more than one glass?
And now in 2024, you look back, and that was just 10, 15 years ago, how archaic that is.
Yeah. It's kind of like our tattoo laws.
It's just so counterintuitive to small business owners. And so, a lot of times the hot button issue right now, especially in places like this, you're hearing about alcohol liquor liability and those rising insurance costs and stuff. And, I think I've told the personal story about hopping up in Rock Hill. They went from something like 30-something grand in a premium to they got a quote for like 155, 160.
That's wild.
With no claims or nothing.
So you're running into that as well?
We haven't been hit as hard as some other people for sure. It's gone up, but we've always carried a pretty big policy. The thing that I was thinking of this from when you asked earlier, but like there's only one carrier right now that'll do breweries. So like I can't shop it around. I've got Philly insurance, and that's it. There's nobody else.
Oh, wow.
So they could jack it way up, but they haven't. I mean, it's still really high, but I'm also paying a lot for flood insurance. I'm also, we have a really big property with a huge staff. It's a little bit different.
And that's what we were talking. They serve food, which I'm going to definitely partake in after the podcast.
I'm down for some
raw
good food.
Bar, peel and eat shrimp. God damn! Come out to Holy City. I mean, man, you get a one-stop shop right here. So, well, man, thanks for letting us do the podcast here, man. This is awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for hosting us, and thanks for the beer.
I love the location. If y'all are any one of our listeners down in the Charleston area, you've got to come by.
Stop by and
check
see
this
Chris.
brewery out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. And it's not just beer. Yeah. It's great food and everything.
Just come in and tell them you're the number 2 listener.
That's right.
You're coming here for that.
You get free beer if you say you're number 2.
Chris is not agreeing.
I'll buy you beer.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right. So our next guest today is Senator Sean Bennett. We're down in his neck of the woods, as Chris was talking. talking about how he helped him whenever he was getting started. So
go ahead and let the two listeners know a little bit about you.
The two listeners. Well, first, thanks for having me, Sean Bennett. I don't represent this area particularly, but close in Summerville. Member of the South Carolina Senate, was elected in 2013, and have been serving since then. Run a wealth management firm up in Summerville.
Nice.
And born and raised here. I was born and raised in North Charleston, as a matter of fact, not too far from here. My grandparents lived for 60 some odd years, probably a quarter of a mile from here. So it's been fun watching this part of town kind of revitalize itself over the past decade or so.
Especially like that Park Circle area and those places. So where did you go to high school?
I went to Stall.
Okay,
yep.
Gotcha.
RB Stall.
Oh yeah, y'all were 3A back in the day when I was JV at Bishop England, and man, 3A is a lot bigger than 2A is all I'm saying.
And we were terrible then. We're terrible now.
Yeah.
Until we were playing Bishop England, then we were pretty good.
That's right. That's right. So wanted to discuss with you the recent Supreme Court decision. Came down 3-2, basically said the school choice legislation that was passed, earlier this year or last year?
Yeah,
last year.
Last year and then updated this past year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And they declared it unconstitutional.
Yeah. Surprising.
Yeah.
Very surprising. For a couple of reasons. One, just the makeup of the court. However, I didn't realize until I read the decision that the current makeup of the court is not the ones that heard the case and made the whatever you call them, whatever the courts do, their decision. Their decision. Actually had a member of the appellate court, the appeals court, sit in because one of the justices recused themselves from the case, and then of course didn't have the newest member of the court that we elected last year hear the case. So, probably with those two people, I'm guessing it's a different decision. Not a lawyer.
Could it be appealed?
It can't be. It can't technically. Again, so here we go. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. Didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express. I'm just talking about what I hear. I don't think it can necessarily be appealed. I think they can request, and they already have, I believe, that they reconsider it.
Right.
But I don't think.
I think we did hear that from the governor's office.
Yeah.
And Justice Kittredge, in his dissent, reading through that, I love the fact that he pointed out that their decision would also impact things such as the education lottery and First Steps and programs like that many people might advocate for.
Right.
But if they're going off of that decision, now those should fall under the same
Wow.
And I will tell you this, if it does, that's a tragedy. Lottery, I could care less one way or the other, honestly. Right. But First Steps is an example of a government agency that does things right and is getting results.
Right.
And if all of a sudden you pull the carpet out from underneath that organization, your 3K, 4K, pre-K type programs that are really getting into a lot of these communities that need it.
Right. Especially
devastating.
Underserved, whether it's rural or urban or wherever in state.
It serves a dual role too, because it's not just the education component, but it's also one of the big things is the rising child care costs.
That's right.
And this is something that allows parents to really work and oftentimes parents will stay at home because it's cheaper for them to stay at home than it is to go to work if they have to pay for the child care.
Yeah, right. Especially single moms or single parents at large, it's more challenging, right, to work and provide for your kids and their education, and First Steps really fills that gap.
I'm always blown away. My mom having me as a teenager and working 3 jobs and going to work. I can't imagine it.
Oh, not at all. My mom, single mom, 5 kids.
Yeah.
I have no clue how we're not all, just derelicts.
I mean, only half of you are.
Maybe you are, but it's frustrating in a lot of ways. I mean, we talk about that, we talk about First Steps, but just the reality, the direct impact too. First of all, I'm really frustrated with the court. Look, it is what it is. If this is the ruling, if this is the correct interpretation of law, okay, I'm not an attorney.
Right.
I believe that we have to trust our institutions. I think we've spent the last decade or more just eroding every institution. So I'm not there yelling at the rooftop saying this was some type of scam decision.
Yes. Right.
If the decision is the decision, but the fact that they heard this case in March, let the school year start, and people put their kids in schools that they believe are appropriate for their children with the expectation that this was going to be provided for them. And now to yank that rug out from underneath them.
That's an excellent point.
These are the types of people
and
they can't afford.
Lower income.
No, they can't afford to, we'll just suck it up and move on. We'll get through the school year. No, I mean, they can't afford it. That's why they use the scholarship.
Yes.
So that's a piece that really, really bothers me. The other piece that bothers me, again, is, you talked about Bishop England and all, and I'm a good Catholic kid from Charleston. The Catholic Church was ready and committed to opening a number of schools, probably in the dozens range, in rural areas of South Carolina that no other private school would
want to
dare touch.
Right.
They were ready to do that, and they were going to subsidize, to a certain degree and use those scholarships. And now that's not going to happen. It can't happen. I mean, fiscally, it can't happen.
And to that point, I don't know where I would be without a quality education. You know what I mean?
You'd be where I am. What are you talking about?
I mean, seriously, the socioeconomic strata, right, that I was in growing up, and to be able to achieve, me personally, what I've achieved, obviously with my family and all those things, was through an education, right? That was the ladder that enabled me to get, I don't know, it just prepared me for workforce and the grace of God. But you know what I mean? Like that is the tool, I think, that can lift so many of our children up to be successful citizens here in South Carolina. And now just pull the rug out, like what you were saying, it's frustrating. So I don't know. We'll ask the court maybe to reconsider. I think that's already been done. I think I saw a governor's message.
Been done, yeah.
So, but if not, I concur with exactly what you said. Do not undermine the institution of the court. We'll go back as a legislative body and let's figure out another solution for sure, because that is just, I don't know.
Is there, going into this year, is there anything that is at the top of your list that says, I'm going hard on this right now?
Oh, for me personally, outside of this issue?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the two things that the overarching argument that I've made about South Carolina since I've been elected is that, one, for the past 2 decades particularly, we have been blessed by a lot of growth, a lot of success, a lot of business expansion, a lot of business relocation, job opportunities. And with that has camouflaged a lot of real fiscal problems that we have in South Carolina. The number one issue is our tax policy. Our tax policy is absolutely broken.
This is welcome news.
Right?
This is going to be a good conversation.
Act 388?
Yeah. I mean, but that's only part of it, right? So I talk to people all the time. We've got these 3-legged stools of tax policy. We got income tax, we got property tax, and we got sales tax. You mentioned 388. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was before any of us were elected, so it's easy for me to say. I believe in my heart of hearts, being active in the private sector that was participating in that debate, in that public debate, that were part of organizations that warned the General Assembly this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
To put this in place, and they went and did it anyway. It was a purely a re-election type of thing.
That's what got Republicans in power.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
And now we can't come back and say, oh, we're just going to get rid of it, because you're telling every property owner, hey, we're going to raise your taxes.
That's right. But that's a problem with it. But the other two components, the income tax.
Yes.
I know I got a little bit of trouble from your speaker on y'all's side a couple of years ago when we reduced the income tax, which I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. But my problem has been when we nibble around at the edges and don't take a comprehensive look at it, we run into problems. So I got on the Senate floor right after y'all passed, and I think we passed it too, so I'm not laying all the blame at y'all's, this income tax reduction. And I got on the floor and I said, hey, congratulations to us all. We have lowered our top income tax rate in the Southeast to the top income tax rate in the Southeast. Right? Sure, we brought it down, but we were still high.
Yeah.
So we got a high income tax rate. 41% don't pay anything. 42% pay that highest rate.
Right.
That's a problem, right? And then on the sales tax side, we exclude more from sales tax than we collect. So in all of those components, we've got problems. But the bigger problem that we have is we all know it, right? Every member of the General Assembly will admit it, that there's a problem. But yet, I don't know what it's like on your floor, but I tell people all the time, if you choose to dial in under ETV and watch our floor debates, guaranteed if you watch every week, guaranteed at some point in that week, we are going to debate or introduce, debate, and likely pass another tax carve-out.
Yeah, right.
Because people come to us and they say, hey, this is terrible for me or for my industry or for my organization. And we look at it and we say, it is. It's terrible. So let us fix that one little component. And then all we're doing is keep narrowing and narrowing and narrowing that tax base until ultimately, and there's something else I've warned people, ultimately one day we're going to wake up and we're going to say, oh, shit.
Yeah.
We're now New Jersey.
Yeah.
We're going to have a few people in businesses paying all the tax, and then people are going to start fleeing to other parts of the country.
Well, and Guffey, you and I have talked about this before. Like, let's keep it simple, right? Let's look at a comprehensive, across the board. Let's do an income tax that's comparable to North Carolina. Maybe 4.5%, 4.7%, whatever. Let's get it down. So, business taxes as well. I mean, what you're talking about, tax policy, makes good economic development policy as well. Yeah. It's easy, right? Hey, you don't have to worry about county felos because we're competitive with North Carolina, with our neighboring states.
Yeah.
But,
and I kind of look at things the other way though, because this has been one of my arguments because I got really hit by that John Birch Society freedom score thing because I voted for you're tax incentives.
Yeah, you're for higher taxes.
My thing was, I voted for tax incentives, but my view was anytime there's an ability to lower taxes, I would always vote for it. I never took the look at it the way that you're talking about it, just being little carve-outs, and then it tipping that scale the other way.
I've put myself in a really difficult position over the last few years that I've taken the position that, you know what, I'm not going to vote for these little carve-outs. Mm-hmm. Almost like a little bit of a protest vote.
Right.
To make sure that people understand that, it's not that I'm against it, but what I'd really rather do is I'd rather fix it for everybody.
Right.
But here's the deal. If you really dig into the tax code, who is really hammered? Individuals now, not business stuff.
Yeah.
Who is really hammered in our tax code? Single people, the people that we want to educate here and stay in our state, right?
Yeah.
Single people and particularly single parents are hammered, absolutely hammered by our tax code. Yep. They are the ones that are paying the bulk of it. And the way that we do it, so for instance, I give you an example. Single mom, now she's got to figure out a way because education scholarship accounts aren't helping her out. She's got to figure out a way to educate her kids, pick up her kids in daycare if she can afford it. She's rushing home, doesn't have time to cook as much as she'd want to do. She runs by Bojangles and grabs a chicken dinner on the way home to feed her kids. And then you get the individual that makes good money, owns a business, runs by Harris Teeter or Lowe's on the way home and gets some sashimi, fish. Because they bought that at the grocery store.
We don't tax.
We don't tax it.
Yeah.
But that Bojangles gets hit with sales tax, hospitality tax, all these others. It's crazy.
That's an excellent point. I've never thought of it from that perspective, but it's true.
It's absolutely true.
And do you think we've past legislatures have created this tax code to incentivize or attract married couples, or you see what I'm saying, or veterans, or law
that was
enforcement.
the point. Whenever they tried to give a lot of the tax breaks back in the '90s to married families, was to try to incentivize people being married, but
it's just the unintended consequences.
Consequences.
Yeah,
it's not that past general assemblies are ours. Absolutely.
Oh man,
yeah, absolutely.
I know.
The question behind the question, right?
We always think that we're solving it. I have people come to me all the time. They're like, why is it like that? And I often say, it's because you've got guys like me that sold rock or dirt for a living that's getting educated in a 1 or 2 week period of time, thinking that I've got all the answers and you're relying on the body to work together. We provide the solution. The intent was well intended.
Yeah.
But we didn't see everything that's coming behind the corner.
It's not like you went out that day and said, all right, we're going to really hose the single parents.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just that unintended. Yeah. So are you on, for the two listeners, what committees do you serve on in the Senate?
So in the Senate, we're different than you guys, obviously, because we have, right. So I sit on finance, transportation, labor, commerce, and industry.
But to be fair, you get paid more.
Yeah, right.
All right, so you're on finance?
Finance, transportation, labor, commerce, and industry, banking and insurance, ethics,
and this is
fish, game, and forestry.
And this is a part-time job, folks.
Yeah.
Fish, game, and forestry. Do you do anything with DNR?
We do a lot of stuff with DNR.
I need a damn buoy up in my district because wakeboarders are killing this guy's dock, and they will not put a buoy. And it's more than a football field distance, and the guy's just asking to put a buoy close to his property because for some reason the wakeboarders want to start there, and he's got video. Like going right beside of his dock, and it's just destroying the thing.
Maybe you should stock it with piranha or something.
So, speaking of tax policy, is this something that you're currently working on now, or
I've been working on it.
Okay.
I mean, I've got bills; they're ready to go. I've talked to. The reality is, look, I'm not trying to blow smoke. I know this is a heavy lift.
Right.
This is going to take a lot of people and the political will to do it. And I know that there are going to be a lot of people that are not happy, with what I would propose, because they will end up saying, hey, wait a minute, that's going to cost me more. And the reality is, I say, if somebody after, and again, look, everybody thinks their legislation is the greatest legislation, right? So I think I've worked with enough smart people to know this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I also know that some people were going to find themselves paying more than they were, because they were getting a pretty good deal before that. And that's the point that I point out is if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm really getting the short end of the stick here, that's because you've had a pretty good stick leading up to this.
Now, would we be able to go back on these businesses that might have FILOs or stuff, because their deals would already be in place. So even if we changed it, they're stuck at whatever that millage rate was.
You don't change it. You can't. Again, it's like the ESA. You can't pull the rug out from underneath.
Look, we do that for school choice programs. We're not going to do that for tax policy.
Right. That's right. You got to honor your commitments, right? And then going forward, here's the changes that we're going to make.
Well, and I think a lot of, especially considering that I'm suing Meta, everyone reaches out to me and saying, hey, what about this Philo Meta got to open up this data center in Anderson?
Aiken.
But whenever I look at it, I mean, they're essentially paying the same tax rate that homeowners are.
Yeah.
So every homeowner that's complaining, it's like, what do you believe, especially the conservatives that are complaining, do you believe a business should have to pay more taxes than you?
That's right.
Because all they did was give the same rate, and they are paying more than you because they're worth a lot more than you.
Well, I would say in this populist era we're living in, yes, they believe that.
Yeah, it's funny the way that.
But even the businesses are probably going to balk at some of this stuff. But my point is yes, if you end up paying more in category A, you'll probably be paying less in category B, C, and D,
right?
And they'll offset each other. But now you're smoothing out, broadening the base, and in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, but in a perfect world, you find yourself saying, hey, County X, you don't have to enter into FILOs as much as you used to because the tax policy is a good tax policy. You enter into FILOs because the tax policy is terrible.
And then you can actually even lower your payroll within these counties because you're not having to pay for these economic development directors and staff.
And this sounds like you've been working on this a while. I'd love to get a sneak peek at this. Being a border county in York, man.
Oh, yeah.
Businesses just go right across the state line because they're saving 2 or 3 points.
It's one of the reasons that we have to give the fee.
And then their employees come and live in York County because of the property taxes.
And they're not paying for schools. And then they're complaining that our schools don't get enough.
And so, I mean, just in a good, sound tax policy, you would, I could imagine every border county would look forward to at least taking a look at that.
Problem is, crisis brings results, right? And again, because of our economic successes over the past 2 decades, all these things are hidden. One day they'll come up and people will start recognizing.
But this is like living off of your credit card.
That's exactly right.
You won't realize it until it's too late. And you ain't got the money to pay it back.
That's right.
Wait a minute. I'm paying 24% interest?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I thought we were going to talk about football and beer and
I know,
stuff like that.
Which beer did you get?
I got the Paradise low alcohol content because I have to meet my wife later. So I have to be very
gotcha.
Very nice.
And you are not attending the LSU game tomorrow?
I am not.
You've got another sporting event?
So I lost complete control of my calendar. My kids, my grandson, and my wife has been dying to go to a Braves game all year. We go to at least one. And I said, hey, this is about the only opportunity. Let's go do it. So I bought the tickets, bought hotel room, all that good stuff. And then I looked at my calendar and said, oh my God, we got LSU at home. Now the LSU game is at noon.
Yes.
The Braves game is at 7:30.
You could probably make both.
I know I could make both. But I've been politicking for that all week, and it has not gone well.
Oh, man. And you were probably like me. You probably did not anticipate us being 2-0.
Right. Well, certainly not 2-0, and certainly not 2-0 with the last win being actually pretty decent.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
And look, don't bring up that powder puff that App State y'all beat last week, okay? That is not comparable. This is an SEC opponent, okay?
Right.
Y'all know a little bit of something about the SEC. That was week 1 for y'all.
I think everybody will learn who they are.
Right.
Well, Senator Bennett, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Joining
Appreciate
us
you being down here in God's country, or close to God's country.
That's right.
That's up in Clemson. Even the sunsets are purple.
Y'all be good.
Thank you. All right, now our final guest of the day, last but not least, of course, is one of our good freshman friends and Representative Gary Brewer.
Hey, man. Thank y'all so much for having me. First off, welcome to the Holy City, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah, man. What you drinking?
I'm drinking the Ocktoberfest.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Cotton candy. I changed over to the cotton candy.
Yes.
And it actually tastes like cotton candy.
I'm trying this lighter Stardust TATTOO Pilsner. It's pretty good. Nice and light.
Nice.
You'd like that one.
Funky looking can. I like that.
Yeah. So Gary Brewer went to Fort Dorchester?
Fort Dorchester.
Yep. So he grew up in the Somerville area as well.
Yeah.
I went to the real high school of Somerville, South Carolina.
I can't seem to escape y'all.
I know, man. All roads lead to Somerville.
Everything leads through the real football city.
No.
Hey, listen, we got it on a bridge, okay? It's on buildings. We've already claimed that.
USA Today called Rock Hill Football City, USA.
What is that?
Football City, USA.
No, USA Today.
Yeah.
Does anybody read newspapers?
For people that read, it's a national newspaper.
They got pictures.
It's similar, like, you know how you always read Fitz News? This is like the print version of it.
Yeah. It's kind of.
I think my subscription ran out, unfortunately.
Hey, don't worry, Brewer. They got a coloring section.
Oh man, it's good to see y'all.
Yeah, you too, man. So election year.
Yeah.
You had a primary.
Yeah.
Man, take us through that. How was that? I know you were busy knocking on doors. We're in a group text that we were all, sort of cheering you on, man. But tell the two listeners what that experience is like.
Man, first off, I don't get reelected without guys like y'all. I mean, y'all came down, y'all were a part of things. Representative Cox, Robbins, Micah Caskey, everybody that came down and started knocking doors.
And don't forget Chris Murphy now.
Oh, and well,
I came down for your kickoff.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was awesome, man. We had a lot of people that chipped in because we all kind of share the same message, right? We're all carrying the same amount of water as we're trying to do this. So, first off, thank y'all for that. That was cool. But we hit 6,000 doors.
Man,
we knocked on 6,000 doors this go around, and at the end of the day, you don't do it without getting in front of people and getting in front of your voters and talking to them and seeing them.
Right. You might look lazy whenever you're on the floor, but you're not.
No, that's just I'm just prepping to knock doors.
Yeah, a little bit of Candy Crush in the off time. But so yeah, congratulations on that primary victory. Now, do you have a general?
I do. I have
okay.
a general. We've kind of geared up. We just started kicking that off, and
do they at least have blue or green hair?
Pink.
Pink. Okay,
you're good. I think it's good. But hey, at the end of the day, I admire anybody that's willing to throw their name in the hat and run. I don't care what it is. So I look forward to running against the lady, and we'll see how it's going to go. And October 16th, Chris Murphy and myself are kicking off at the Dorchester Boat Club for a fundraiser. If anybody wants to come over, we're going to do a little fish fry.
October 16th.
October 16th. Yeah.
All right.
Now you're not doing the frying, are you?
No. It's going to be edible, man.
Okay.
We're gonna get you 2 more people coming out with our 2 listeners, so y'all better show up.
That's right. So, in your conversations with your constituents, what are you hearing? Like, what are some of the pressing issues that you hear, or is it just across the board?
I laugh because we're in tuned as a group to all the politicos, right? And so the social issues are everything that we hear.
Yeah.
You go knock on doors in my district, and you knock on doors, and like I said, we hit 6,000 doors. Now, you know my joke when I say this every single time. Issue number 1. Infrastructure. Issue number 2, infrastructure. Issue number 3, no soliciting. Right? They don't want any of that. Right? So, I mean, that's where it's at. People are tired of sitting in their cars trying to get home from work, trying to get their kids places and stuff. And, hey, look, we're a great place. But all of South Carolina is. We're a great place. People are moving here left and right.
Rock Hill's not great. Don't move there.
Yeah, right. That's what I want to tell them. I'm like, look, Low Country's not that great.
Seats taken.
Yeah. Hey, doesn't that remind you of, I don't know if it's Travel and Leisure, I don't know what the travel magazine is, but for like 10 years ago, Charleston, the #1 best city.
Condé Nast.
Yes. And it was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop telling people.
Yeah.
And secret's out, man.
What got the best city this year?
I think we're like 13 in a row. Did y'all get it?
It was good old Rock Hill.
Rock Hill. Rock Hill.
Y'all stole football too. Might as well go ahead.
We been done did that.
Yeah. But that is true, man. We always talk about infrastructure, and we're all about, just people in general, and now as with our legislator caps on, we're all about selling our state, right?
Yeah.
To businesses and to people. Yeah. But it all goes down the toilet if you don't have good roads, infrastructure,
quality of life.
Yeah, man.
And that is the cornerstone of conservatism to me.
Yep.
Like, you want to be a fiscal conservative, but if you're going to be paying taxes, you want it to go to your infrastructure. You want to be able to see where the money's going to.
Absolutely.
And out of all the reps in the House, you are the only one that has contracting.
Here we go.
Reputable contracting.
Here we go.
But you do seem to know more about roads than anyone else, and you understand the system, and your ear is to the pavement, so to say, and your feet's on the pavement in that industry.
I do appreciate that because it's something I'm passionate about. It's something our people are passionate about. And at the end of the day, it's a different language, right? And it's hard to understand it if you haven't been around it. You don't know what these people are talking about and what they need.
Yeah.
You mentioned conservatism. This is true conservatism. Our government should provide great infrastructure, great education, and great protection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's where we're at, right?
Yeah. If you're not doing the core functions right, don't even think about
exactly.
Right. So veterinary schools and whatever else.
Right.
No, that gay gummy bear art they got down here.
Yeah. Oh, God, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, no kidding. So inquiring minds want to know, when are they going to finish 526? We were talking about that back when I graduated back in 95, man.
Hey, look at this. All right, so
what is the problem?
We had 3 projects in this area, 526 Mark Clark Extension, Berlin G. Myers Parkway, and the railroad extension in Hanahan, a 2.5 mile road, right? All those permitting processes took over 14 years to get the permit.
That's government getting in the way.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
And then we want to complain about the costs of things skyrocketing. Yeah. Well, 14 years ago,
that's right.
It was 1/6 of the cost.
That's right.
And so that I sit on our area transportation.
Yeah.
And prices for interstate interchanges, a mile of paved road is just ridiculous.
The IIJA that the federal government passed has absolutely, it's caused 40% inflation in infrastructure in the past 4 years, right? So 3 years from when they passed it. We've got the permitting process. We have the IIJA that everybody thought we were getting all these billions and billions of dollars, but there were so many requirements from them.
The Biden bucks.
The Biden bucks, man. It's driven up the cost. And it's crazy. So, it'd be neat if in our area and in the state of South Carolina, if we could find a way, these sales tax programs that we have, which y'all have a great sales tax program in York.
Pennies for progress.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's it's actually up on our ballot this November.
It is.
Yeah.
And the guy that we got running it knows what he's doing. He's running it like a fine old machine. But now you still have all of these people constantly that look at it and complain about it. And it's like, can you imagine York County without a Pennies for Progress?
Right? No.
And selling these would be a 2-lane road.
When that came out, when that idea came out, it was pretty divisive.
Yeah.
It barely won. It's almost like a school bond issue.
And Pennies 2 was a disaster. The 2008 crisis hit. It wasn't being ran the way it needed to. Costs skyrocketed. But those are things. You're making projections on this is what it's going to cost.
Well, the cool thing is, what if we were able to take these programs and take our state infrastructure bank and just state fund projects, not bring in federal money, not have the hand ties that we've got with them. Now, we still have to get some federal permits because there's some processes you still have to go through.
Yeah.
But we can speed that up, and we do it in our SCDOT paving program. We only pay state bucks in it, so that way we don't have to worry about being hamstrung by all the federal guidelines when we're doing our repaving.
Right.
What if we did a pilot program when we had projects, say, between 20 and 50 million, and by the way, $20 and $50 million projects ain't that big anymore.
Correct.
Right?
That's like a lane widening.
That's right.
15 miles.
You know what I mean?
15 miles.
Capacity project. That's right.
Yeah.
We're talking about interchanges up in Rock Hill that 8 years ago were allotted 75, 80 million. Yeah. Now the price tags are anywhere from 120 to $200 million.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? And again, that is a ridiculous amount of money, right? $200 million. But here's what I see from that organization perspective when I sit on that transportation side is, okay, the cheaper end of that scale is 100 million. We can do 100 million, but when does that 100 million option fail for an interchange? Right. Versus, let's go ahead and invest the 200 million now and get 50 years out of it instead of 15 for 100 million. Right.
So,
you know what I mean?
And that leads to another thing with us. So the way we fund our roads, when we pass the gas and motor fuel user fee in 2016.
York County is a donor county, so we're not happy about it.
Most are. Yeah. We are in Dorchester, I think in Charleston as well, maybe Berkeley. But you have to build roads off of a ranking system, meaning your roads have to fail before you can do anything.
Right, that tiered system or whatever, yeah.
Why don't we start getting ahead of stuff, right? You know what I mean? If you're pregnant with twins, you're not looking for 1-bedroom apartments, are you?
I had to go through that as a county councilman. Look, because our C funds, of course, because of the Panthers interchange and the money that we put out, it was a limited amount. But we had to go through and basically had to look at all the roads within my district that they drove down and they gave a rating to. Yeah. And, most politicians' approach were, I'm going to do one on this side of town, this side, and it was wasting money.
Yep.
And I said, no, I want to bank all of my money this year, and then I want to combine it and put it all in to a road that my predecessor had put a couple $1 million to, so we could get that entire road
done,
paved without having to pick up and move machinery.
Right.
It's like, just put it on hold, let me get the money, and then we're going to pave the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah. If you want better pricing from your contractors, give them better production, right? Yeah. Give them an opportunity to actually do what they do best.
Correct.
Don't chop it all up, move them all around, give them better production, we get better pricing.
Yeah. I tell you, man.
And it's not as simple as just a road. You got to worry about moving utilities. You got to worry about moving sewage and or stormwater, and there's a lot of things that people don't think about. They just think, just run a paver down through here.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we are fortunate, right? Being in the Southeast, this region is growing. I think South Carolina is one of the top 3 growing states. I read an article that by 2042, right now we have a little over 5 million. We're going to get another 1 million people.
That's crazy.
Imagine that. And there's 5 counties that they said are going to receive 80% of that. That's Berkeley, Horry, York, Spartanburg, and Greenville.
Yep.
Yeah, so 85, go ahead and get the dozers out,
Greenville
son.
is a beautiful county. Everyone should move to Greenville.
Yeah. Hey. Go visit Justin over there in Bamberg.
Yeah. Hey, and here's a little plug.
Oh, that's a little too close to Murdoch.
Hey, here's a plug for Goose Creek, the 9th largest city in the state of South Carolina.
I thought it was 11.
Goose Creek is a wonderful town. Come on.
They have a wonderful city councilwoman. A little questionable on their representation.
That's right.
Level.
Hey, that's where that train just hit the tank.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What?
That was what, yesterday?
What did you just get hung up? That low boy carrying that tank?
I saw that.
I saw that.
Looked like he stalled out, man. I was like, what in the world?
Speaking of infrastructure, hey, listen, we do not need battery-powered low boys, all right?
Right? Yeah.
I think they just call that the Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh. Well, man, thanks for joining us.
Man, thank y'all so much for coming down here. Y'all do a great thing. Y'all doing a great job. You're getting your message out there. We're getting our message out there. Y'all carry the water for a lot of us that don't have the voice like this. And, man, we all appreciate y'all. And I mean this on I don't ever get serious with y'all much because it's not worth it, number one. But y'all do a great job, and I hope this continues to grow, and I hope it continues to get out there and people can hear the truth and what we got going on and not some of the clowns that you hear.
The rhetoric.
The
constant rhetoric.
Yeah.
It drives me insane.
And that's true. I mean, what we do is a serious job, and it takes serious people.
Yeah.
But we're also the newer generation.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ever be that, stiff-necked, buttoned all the way to the top and trying to be prim and proper. I want people to understand.
We're lucky you're wearing sleeves.
This is shocking me.
So, I always want to be me. And I think people need to understand that our representatives are just normal, everyday people.
That's right.
And it takes a heart to serve. What we see too often in politics is people getting involved just because they want that title.
That's right.
They don't truly have the heart to serve.
That's right.
And also serving a self-interest before the public interest,
Right.
And that's the thing. I think all of us have that servant mentality that we're working for our people. Give us a call if I can help you out. Even if I don't agree with you ideologically, I don't care. If you're having some flood problems or you got a culvert that's clogged up, it's probably a local level, but let me help.
I used to be so worried about whether I said something, if it goes against my congressman and how people are going to look at it. But I've learned that as long as I can be myself, then the people that are coming to me and asking me, they're like, no, you keep doing what you do.
And how lucky are we? All of our wives are invested in this. Our families are invested in this. I tell you, it's not just us that we do the easy part, right?
Yeah.
They do the hard part.
I don't know. Kelsey does a lot for you now. I mean, she's knocking on at least 3,000.
That's what I was going to say. She's doing more heavy lifting than anybody because they would much rather look at her than you.
Yeah, we put her picture out there. Nobody wants to see Ronald McDonald over here.
I love his post or him and Kelsey. I'm like, that dog. But yeah, thanks for joining us, man. It was awesome. Good to be down here in Charleston. Thanks to Holy City. Thanks for hooking this up, man.
Yeah, man, this is a great group. Thank y'all for
Beautiful
coming.
place. Sounds like they got some live music going outside or about to kick off.
I'm going to stick around for some dinner.
Great food.
Get some oysters.
Yeah, dozen raw, some peel and eats before I head up the road. So
yeah.
Thank you,
man.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
And all the listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. We are filming this on Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So,
hey, real quick, who you got? LSU, Carolina? Got any
Cox by
predictions?
90.
There you go. You got it?
I mean, yeah, I'm not making predictions in that game. It depends on which Gamecocks show up.
2017.
He's not used to watching varsity games. He's got the JV and CC stuff.
That's kind of like Clemson's the one with the national championships. Like Rock Hill is the one with all the pro players.
Look at this, we're out of time.
There you go. Thanks to Holy City for hosting the Pints of Politics podcast, and also thanks to Comer Distributing for being our sponsor.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Anything you want or who